Daughter, when will you return home from your business trip? Your husband is giving me strange pills. Save me. The mother stunned her over the phone. I was in shock, so I decided to come earlier than planned and followed my husband. Maria froze with the phone in her hand, as if she had been doused with icy water. Outside the hotel room window, the lights of St. Petersburg drifted by, and only one phrase was spinning in her head. Your husband is giving me strange pills. Save me. Mom, wait, explain everything in order. The woman tried to speak calmly, but her voice treacherously trembled. What pills? What are you talking about? Mary, I don't know. Greg says it's not for blood pressure, but after them I become so strange, I forget everything, my head feels heavy. And today I woke up and don't remember how I went to bed yesterday, as if a memory gap happened. I'm scared. Muffled voices were heard in the receiver, then Mom hurriedly whispered, "He's coming, come quickly, I'm afraid." The line went dead. Maria looked at the phone screen where call ended was displayed and could not believe the reality of what was happening. Gregory, seriously. Her Greg, who for 3 years patiently cared for her father after a stroke, who took her mother to the dacha every weekend and listened to her endless stories about the neighbors, was capable of such meanness. No, it was impossible to believe. The woman walked around the room trying to collect her thoughts. The conference was supposed to last 2 more days. They were having important negotiations with St. Petersburg partners on which a major contract depended, but in her mother's voice there was not senile suspicion, but real fear. Maria opened her laptop and began feverishly searching for tickets. The last train to Moscow departed in an hour and a half. She quickly packed her things, on the go typing messages to colleagues about an urgent departure, and ran out of the hotel. In the train car, settling into the compartment, the woman tried to calmly analyze the situation. Evelyn Thompson, at 73, was quite sharp-minded, although she liked to embellish events. After her father's death 4 years ago, she lived alone in their old 3-room apartment, categorically refusing to move in with her children. Maria and Greg settled in the neighboring building, close enough to help her with household matters, but far enough not to monitor every step of the elderly woman. More precisely, one could say that Maria lived alone. Her spouse, after being laid off from the factory half a year ago, fell into some kind of apathy. He sat at home all day, occasionally responding to vacancies, but without much enthusiasm. He said that at 50, he was no longer needed by anyone. And at that time, Maria was working for 2. Her small advertising agency was barely staying afloat amid the crisis. Now, when the woman thought about it, the oddities began to form into an alarming picture. Gregory really began visiting his mother-in-law more often, almost every day. He claimed that he was helping her with household chores, that she was lonely alone. Maria was only glad at least some occupation had appeared for her husband and extra attention for her mom. And then these business trips became more frequent. She had to leave them alone together. The train gently rocked. Station lights flickered outside the window. The woman tried to call her mother again, but her phone was turned off. Anxiety grew with every kilometer. Maria arrived in Moscow at morning. Usually after such trips, she felt completely exhausted, but now adrenaline did not let her feel tired. The woman got into a taxi and asked the driver to go faster. It was quiet at home. Gregory was still sleeping, sprawled on their double bed and peacefully snoring. The wife quietly changed clothes and slipped out of the apartment. It was a 5-minute walk to her mother's house through the courtyard. Evelyn Thompson did not open the door immediately, but when she saw her daughter, her face brightened with relief. "Mary dear." The elderly woman pressed her to herself with trembling hands. "How good it is that you came." Her mother looked really unwell. Usually neat, she was disheveled in a worn robe. Her eyes were dull, her movements somehow slowed. "Mom, how do you feel?" Maria led her to the kitchen and put on the kettle. "Bad, my daughter. For a week now I've been walking as if in a fog. Greg says it's a new medicine that the doctor prescribed, but I don't remember going to the doctor. And yesterday she fell silent and rubbed her temples. Yesterday I woke up on the floor in the hallway. My son-in-law said I fell, but nothing hurts." A chill ran down the woman's back. "And where are these pills? Show me." Mom uncertainly rummaged in the kitchen cabinet and took out an unfamiliar package without a name. Just white pills in a blister. "My son-in-law says I need to take one in the evening, but I think maybe it's too strong a medicine. My blood pressure isn't that high." Maria carefully examined the package. No identifying marks, barcodes, names. Strange. Usually Greg was very meticulous in all matters. He always studied instructions and recommendations. Mom, did you measure your blood pressure? No, the tonometer broke. Greg promised to buy a new one. Yes, somehow, Evelyn Thompson was clearly having difficulty collecting her thoughts. They drank tea. Mom perked up a little. Maria talked about the business trip, about the St. Petersburg partners, but her thoughts revolved around the strange pills. It was necessary to urgently find out what it was. Mom, and what time does Greg usually come to you? It varies, sometimes during the day, sometimes in the evening. Sometimes he brings groceries, sometimes helps around the house. You have a good husband, Mary dear, caring. In her mother's voice there was the usual warmth when she spoke about her son-in-law. But now these words seemed strange to Maria. All 8 years of marriage, Greg, of course, treated his mother-in-law normally, but never showed special care. And suddenly, Maria took one pill from the blister and hid it in her pocket. Mom, do you remember what you did the day before yesterday? Evelyn Thompson frowned, clearly straining. Not really. It seems Greg came, we watched TV, and then I don't remember. I woke up already in the morning. My head was heavy. The woman felt everything inside growing cold. The picture was beginning to clear up, and this clarity was frightening. A couple of hours later, Maria was sitting in a cafe near a pharmacy and nervously twisting the pharmacist's conclusion in her hands. The pill turned out to be a strong sleeping pill, a drug that is dispensed only by a doctor's prescription and is categorically not recommended for elderly people without serious medical indications. Where did you get this? The pharmacist asked warily. The packaging is homemade, but the drug is real. This happens when medicines are bought in bulk and packaged independently. Maria muttered something about cleaning out a medicine cabinet and went outside. Her head was spinning. Why would Greg give her mom sleeping pills, and why lie about blood pressure medicine? The woman quickly got up and headed home with a firm intention to figure everything out today. Gregory was sitting in the kitchen with a cup of coffee and reading the news on his phone. A smile played on his face. No nervousness, no strange behavior. Mary, what a surprise, you're back. You said the conference would last until Friday. Yes, but it was shortened, the wife lied. The counterparties got sick. The man nodded understandingly and continued reading. Maria poured herself some tea and sat opposite him. Greg, we need to seriously talk about Mom's medicine. The spouse raised his eyes from the phone, but his expression remained calm. What about it? You gave her a strong sleeping pill and told her it was blood pressure medicine. Why? Gregory sighed and put the phone aside. You know, Mary, I wanted to tell you, but you're already worried about the business. However, since you found out, your mom has been sleeping very poorly these past months. Not sleeping at all. I was worried about her, so I consulted a familiar psychotherapist. He said we could try a proven sleeping pill, just reduce the dosage, since she's an elderly person. What familiar psychotherapist? Remember Nick Walters? We worked together at the factory. He later went into medicine. Now he has a private practice. Maria remembered indeed Nick existed. Per er she hadn't seen him for about 5 years. And why didn't you tell the truth right away? Why invent a story about blood pressure? You know your mom yourself. If you say sleeping pills, she'll immediately decide that she's being considered crazy. And this way, everything is calm. I hoped it would help her improve her sleep, and then I would gradually stop the medicine. The woman thought. Everything seemed logical, and very much like Greg. He always tried to solve all problems himself, without bothering anyone unnecessarily. Maria felt the internal tension begin to subside. Greg, please don't give Mom any medicine without her attending physician. She says she feels bad after them, became forgetful, slowed down. That's wrong. Of course, Mary, you're right. Maybe the dosage really is too high, I won't anymore. The spouse spoke calmly, without irritation, even with some relief, as if he was glad the secret had been revealed. Maria looked at her husband and felt like a complete idiot. She had worked herself up like this, rushed back from a business trip, suspected who knows what. The phone rang just at the moment when she was mentally scolding herself for paranoia. The screen showed the name Irene, a childhood friend who had owned a real estate agency for 10 years. Irene, hi Mary, I've got a very strange situation brewing. Can you come now? We urgently need to talk. This concerns your family. Maria's heart sank into her heels. What happened? We won't discuss such delicate matters over the phone. Do you remember the address of my agency? Come quickly. The real estate agency office was located in a modern business center, but Maria hardly paid attention to the luxurious surroundings of the building. Irene met her at the entrance and immediately led her to the meeting room. Sit down, Mary. I'm very uncomfortable, but I'm forced to tell you everything. The woman sank into a chair, feeling her heart pounding hard. Yesterday your Gregory came to me, said he wanted to urgently sell your mother's apartment, which he has been the owner of since recently. I was surprised. I had always been sure that Evelyn Thompson lived there. But your husband claimed that she moved in with you and her apartment is empty, so he decided to sell it. Irene took documents out of a folder and put them in front of Maria. I asked to confirm ownership rights to the housing, for example, to show a gift agreement or a will. You see, the deal seemed strange to me, and he brought this. Maria took the documents with trembling hands. It was a gift agreement, notarized a few days ago. Evelyn Thompson gifts the apartment at the address to her son-in-law Gregory William Sullivan. Mother's signature, sweeping, familiar, notary seal, everything official. I know this is your mother's apartment, so I doubted it, but the documents are in perfect order. Gregory is now the sole full owner of this property, has the right to dispose of it as he sees fit, including selling it. Maria reread the lines, not believing her eyes. Mom gives the apartment to Greg. When, why? And most importantly, why didn't she tell her about it? But Greg is in a big hurry, asks to arrange a hot sale, ready to drop the price by $500,000 below market value. Says he urgently needs money. I suggested waiting a month or two, finding a better buyer. But your husband insists on selling the apartment within a week. Within a week. Maria felt everything inside grow cold. And are there already buyers? There is a young family, ready to pay the full amount at once. I even felt happy for them. Good apartment, great area, but it seemed suspicious to me that your husband was in such a hurry. So the woman remained silent, trying to digest the information. Greg wanted to sell Mom's apartment. Mom's, in which she grew up, where her childhood passed, where her mother still lives, and does it secretly without informing anyone. Irene, when is he supposed to come to you again? Tomorrow morning he wants to sign a preliminary contract with the buyers. Mary, did I understand correctly that you knew nothing? Nothing, Maria whispered. And Mom? Mom still lives in this apartment. This morning I was at her place. Irene whistled. What a twist, so he didn't warn you. Strange. Although formally, of course, he has the right, the apartment is now his. My mom is currently taking strong sleeping pills. She says her memory has gotten bad. She doesn't remember much. The friends looked at each other silently. Irene was the first to find words. Mary, are you sure your mom was of sound mind when she signed the gift deed? Because if not, I don't know. The woman clenched her fists. Right now she feels fine, but a few days ago I was on a business trip. We hardly communicated. The notary should have checked her legal capacity before signing. Should have. But if she looked normal, Maria stood up and began walking around the meeting room. The picture was becoming more and more horrifying. Sleeping pills disguised as blood pressure medicine, sluggishness and memory gaps, sudden attentiveness of her husband, and now the secret sale of the apartment. Irene, can you delay the deal for at least a few days? I can try, but if he insists and the documents are in order, Mary, you understand that an accusation of coercion to sign documents is very serious. I understand. That's why we won't wait a few days. I've changed my mind. The woman nodded, still not believing the reality of what was happening. The next morning, Maria came to the agency half an hour before the scheduled meeting with Gregory. Irene was already there, nervously sorting through documents. Ready? Her friend asked. Ready, the woman answered firmly, although her hands were slightly trembling. Gregory appeared exactly at 9:30 with a folder under his arm and a businesslike expression on his face. Seeing his wife, he froze in the doorway. Mary, what are you doing here? Good question. The wife stood up to meet her husband, but more importantly, what are you doing here, Greg? The pause dragged on. Gregory darted a glance at Irene, then back at his wife. I told you I wanted to make a surprise, sell Mom's apartment, and set the money aside for your business. When did you say that? What kind of surprise? You're delirious. Maria's voice grew harsher. Mom still lives in her apartment and you know that perfectly well. Besides, she didn't give you anything. This is fraud. She's old, Mary. She's become forgetful, of course she has. From the sleeping pills that you deliberately slip her under the guise of blood pressure medicine. Gregory sank into a chair, realizing that the game was over. A whole range of emotions was reflected on his face, from confusion to anger. Yes, you're right, so what? The spouse suddenly raised his voice. Are you going to lecture me? Tell me how bad I am. Maria had never seen her husband like this. His face was distorted with hatred. His eyes burned with some kind of desperate fire. Want the truth, Mary? You'll get it. Yes, I wanted to sell this damn apartment and get out of here. Greg, what are you saying? What you hear? The husband jumped up and began walking around the office. I'm sick of everything. Our whole life is lousy. This damn lack of money. Your business is hanging by a thread. I'm without a job like a loser. And on top of that, your mommy with constant whining and complaints. What normal person can endure this? Irene tactfully left the meeting room, leaving the spouses alone. Gregory continued shouting. I'm sick of everyone and this country and this life, and you with your business trips and especially your mother. I just wanted to take the money and disappear, go somewhere where I could start life anew. Do you understand? Maria listened and did not recognize the man she had lived with for 7 years. You were so fed up that you went for a vile scam and dragged others into it. Please, everyone here is bought and sold. For money they're ready to issue any certificate, both a psychotherapist and a notary. Everything was going according to plan until you returned earlier than planned. Damn it all. So you planned this whole scheme in advance. Planned it for about 2 months. Thought that by the time you returned I'd already be abroad, and you'd sort it out here however you like. The woman said nothing more, slowly took her bag and headed